Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, one of the things that I want to talk about here, as far as that goes, is the YouTube eras. And it is debatable as far as what you would define the different eras of YouTube. You know. But I think for me, the eras could be divided in different things. Yeah. So, like, 2005 to probably 2007 is kind of like the pioneer era of YouTube, or pre-Google YouTube back in the day. And then there's like the whole other era of YouTube, which could be, you know, the the 5-star era, which was back in the day when we had the 5-star rating system, you know, before we had likes and dislikes. Yeah, because that was one of the other little things that happened, you know. And then there's like the other era could be, you know, the whole Adobe Flash era and the HTML5 era of YouTube, where now that YouTube is all HTML5, there's no more Flash was the other thing then. Because especially back then, when you had to have Adobe Flash in order to watch YouTube. So that was just one of those little things back in the day. You know what I mean? But then again, there's also the different other eras that could also be defined because of, you know, what was going on in the cultural zeitgeist in that era of the YouTube. You know, as far as who was popular back then and then who was popular now. And then when it came to, like, you know, like PewDiePie back then, when he was just first starting out, before he became really, really well known on YouTube. And then, of course, the whole, you know, adpocalypse and Elsagate, you know, pre-adpocalypse, post-adpocalypse, post-Elsagate sort of thing. And then all the other stuff that was going on that caused a lot of things to happen. You know, the rise and fall of certain YouTubers of that sort. You know what I mean? And then all the other little stuff that was going on then. So I think it all just kind of depends on what you defined of that eras of YouTube. You know what I mean? Because after all, you know, there's about another like another 4 more years, and it's going to be 25 years since we had YouTube. And then 9 years from now, it'll be like 30 years of YouTube. And so on and so forth, depending on how things would be. And then depending on, you know, the technological advances. And then depending on all this other stuff that would be going on. So, that's another thing I have to kind of point out. So, anyways, guess that's probably it. So talk to you guys later.